Okay, this is a probably part one of the Outriggers that I built for my kayak, for my Predator, Old Town Predator 13. One of the first parts of doing this is figuring out exactly where you set, where your stroke length is, and how far you want the cross pipes to mount on your boat. Okay. I chose number one. I wanted to mount them completely on this replaceable plastic piece right here, but that wasn't possible. Okay. That being said, I want to say up front, I'm not 100% completely happy with this setup. Okay, and it may change. I just don't know exactly. There's so much that I'm having to learn as I do this stuff that it's time consuming and it takes a while. So after I figured out where I wanted them, then I had to figure out how I was going to mount them and keep them on there and make them removable, because they got to go on that trailer, and it's got to stand over here where you always, in my other videos that you've seen it setting. So it's got to be able to be dismounted. Okay, so what I've done is, because I don't have a vise and the proper tools to do what I wanted to do, I bought a little propane torch up there and some aluminum straps. Okay, and it was like 4 feet long at Home Depot. I cut them to this length. Okay, I heated them up and I bent them around a piece of this, each one of these pieces of poly. Now, these are all kind of boogered up. They're not perfect. And again, I told you it's not perfect. I know it's not perfect, but it works. And for right now, this is a proof of concept. So, again, here, right? Now, these are about the only part of this whole assembly that's not removable, these straps. I needed a way to take it apart and put it back together easily, and this is what I came up with. Now this is, let's see what this is. It doesn't say on this particular piece. I believe it's 2-inch rigid PVC, conduit PVC. That's what the Outriggers arms are made out of. Now, one of the overriding things that had to happen, that it was just, this gonna be, or it's not gonna be, is I did not want it looking like I had knocked over the plumbing department at Home Depot. Sorry about that, I'm getting one of the Outriggers out. I didn't want to look like I had knocked over the plumbing department at Home Depot to make this. I mean, I know some people just don't care about that, but I just wanted it a little bit different. You've seen the pictures of it. I guess far away, it's like a hot chick, from 50 feet. Well, it's probably a hot looking setup from 50 feet, but close up, it's kind of, whoa, dude. So anyways, structural integrity. This by itself, I did not feel, still do not feel is strong enough by itself, especially to go full width all the way across into the Outriggers. Okay, now after you've done the math and figured out where you're going to mount them, then you're going to have to figure out how you're going to take it apart when you do it. So I got some thinner 1.5-inch PVC that just so happens to fit inside this. Okay, so this piece that was 10 feet long was cut, and this now fits in there. I'm one-handed, so I apologize. This slides inside there. Okay, now what I did, hold on, I gotta set this down again. I made, so it fits inside there like that. Okay, and I made these out of aluminum rod. heated it up with the torch, beat the snot out of it out on the side, on the edge of the concrete out there to give it a flat spot enough that I could drill through, so I could put a little leash on it, and you pin it through there, and it goes through this, it goes through this, it goes through this, and it goes through that piece of poly, okay? And it locks the whole thing down. That inner piece of poly right here meets the other arm right here. So from this end, like right here, all the way to here is one piece of poly tubing inside of another piece of poly tubing, and about half a can of cement, PVC cement, welding it in place. Okay, so using that same theory, I used there's another piece of poly, another elbow inside this one. Okay, and I had to cut it and piece it inside there so that it gave it structural support here. All right, now these, when this pin is all the way through right there, and it goes all the way through, it sticks out, there is a bungee cord that wraps around here, this pin, which is a bolt, and around the end here that sticks out, and when it sticks out here, it wraps around there, and that's what locks this pin from sliding in and out so that these can't slide out. Okay, that's locked in place. This screw right here is the screw that the bungee cord on the outrigger hooks onto when it slides up in there. Okay, the bungee cord, and that's what holds it on there. If you look at a Hobie, it's very similar to this, except for there's hinges and lays to the side. I had no way of doing that. I could not even find the machinery or the mechanism to make a hinge on a round pipe. So, one other thing. In my rush to get this done, because whatever, I didn't finish painting this, and I just simply painted this with a supposedly plastic paint. Okay, what needs to happen before you do this is get yourself some of the cement that is used to glue PVC together, okay, or the primer, and thin it back with a little alcohol. I don't know which one it is, isopropyl or normal propyl. Look at it to see which one it is. Thin it back just a little bit so that you can either shoot it with a air sprayer, or you can roll it on, or you can brush it on. Okay, and what that will do is it'll soften it and become a primer so that this won't do that when you paint it. So that's something that's a mistake I made that you won't make, because now you're aware of it. Okay, and again, that isn't perfect. I know it isn't. That isn't perfect. I know it. That isn't perfect. I know it. Those aren't perfect. I know it. But it works, and it works well. Okay, so I did not put any foam in here. I didn't think that the weight benefit, the cost and weight would be worth it. And that's, now one other thing is, because all of these are going to be unique, you need to mark maybe on the bolt and on here, maybe go A and etch A, and then B and B and C and C and D and D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't care, but they need it so that when they're slapping this thing together at the beach or at the boat ramp out in the grass before you go over and waste other people's time, that you can slap together rather easily, because you just A to A, B to B. Okay, you follow me? So that's the idea behind all of that. And again, like I said, it fits in there all the way. They touch each other. It fits in there that far, and it is strong. Believe it or not, it is very strong. So that is, I'll show you this again. When those are pushed in there like that, and the arms are in there, and it goes through, there's that much that's sticking out, and this much is sticking out. There's a bungee that I put in, and it goes out onto the screw and locks it in, so that, mainly so this doesn't slide. When it's moving up and down, I didn't want to risk it wiggling and letting this thing wiggle out, and now this thing could slide out. You know, what if you've mounted everything as dependent on the entire thing, structural integrity, you lose structural integrity, and now you're flipping the thing out in the ocean, or in the river or wherever. So that's the outriggers. You have to plan this thing out in advance. You have to lay it out. You have to know exactly how you're doing all this stuff, because one will impact the other. More to come.